Markle is about to make her Hail Mary pass in Hollywood. She is gearing up to, get this, no surprise here, try to be the next Martha Stewart, Gwyneth Paltrow, even Joanna Gaines, creating a huge lifestyle brand. And we've seen the whole rebranding of Sussex.com and everything as a step towards that. There's a couple of interesting pieces, one from the New York Post, the other one from the Daily Mail, talking about how their future at Netflix is pretty much done at this point. They have maybe a couple of chances to maybe prove themselves, but other than that, it sounds like everybody knows this is a dead deal by 2025 whenever the contract ends. But the question is, how is Meghan Markle setting up her and Harry's future? Because they have an exorbitant lifestyle. Can they continue to fund it? That's a huge question, the one the Daily Mail asked, and I think raises a lot of interesting questions. But then also, what is her future in the entertainment industry? Because so far, Harry and Meghan have been pretty much duds in Hollywood. But Meghan Markle, oh no, she never gives up. So she recently met with her wedding dress designer, Claire Wright Keller, who left the company in 2020, shortly after Harry and Meghan left the royal family. I wonder if there's any correlation there. But apparently they met and Meghan Markle went to dinner later, clearly trying to hobnob in Hollywood, probably while her kids are at home in Montecito. So the question becomes, what does their future look like? Because I think the future is definitely all on Meghan. And I think Meghan is setting up again her future life where perhaps Harry isn't really in the picture much anymore. And is he prepared for perhaps his wife being the sole business person within their relationship, the sole person bringing in any income? These are huge questions, and so there's just some fascinating insight I think we can get from these articles. So we will go into all of it, but if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany and I provide you all compelling royal commentary about the latest news and some of the things going on behind the scenes. So please hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 150,000 subscribers, and I'd love to get that by March. So if you guys enjoy the content, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And I also have a partnership with Ana Lucia Diamonds, which are lab created diamonds. I have a charm bracelet here I just got. This is Diamond Girl and has a little lab created diamond in it. I got some great diamond earrings, a diamond ring, a necklace. And so if you're interested in any of these pieces, I'll link them down below. And if you use code ROYAL20, you will get 20% off. Okay, so back to all these pieces, because I was going to do something on Prince William's comments regarding the Gaza conflict. And I'll probably still do something on that, because I do think kind of the interesting political implications are rather fascinating. But all of this came about because Meghan Markle did a series of paparazzi strolls yesterday. She did too. And now remember, I know Hollywood does still have paparazzi, but they're a very small cadre now. There's just not the huge boom as there was in the early 2000s. And they were right close to her as she left this restaurant and then went to another restaurant last night. So they were 100% called and told, hey, Meghan Markle is here. Although somebody did ask in the video, who is that? And they're like, Meghan Markle. Oh. Because even Hollywood paparazzi people are like, yeah, we don't really know why we're here. We're just called to be here, photograph this person. We don't really know who they are. So Meghan Markle's ego probably a little bruised by that. But anyways, it was fascinating to see these two paparazzi strolls because number one, she was gone for a couple of days in Canada, sans kids, I would imagine. And now she's clearly a whole day in LA. And I imagine, because this is how LA traffic works, that she stayed overnight. So she was gone for 3 or 4 days, then stayed overnight in Los Angeles. And so she makes all this fuss sometimes about, oh, I gotta be home for the kids, gotta be home for the kids. But yet she's perfectly willing to leave them at home too. Now, granted, they could be at the Beverly Hills Hotel where she's probably staying, but I just find that rather fascinating, just the inconsistencies in using the children excuse. They seem to use the kid excuse and then not seem to care when things fit their agenda. But anyways, it got me thinking about these couple of articles because one came out from the Daily Mail last week regarding Netflix and their future there, which I thought was really interesting, particularly about the finances involved. And then the second was this New York Post piece, or page 6, can't remember now which. They're essentially the same thing, talking about her future ambitions in television and some of the key issues that she will have along the way. And so we're going to look at both of these because I think both of these offer some really interesting insights into where the future is going. There's also a little bit of a Telegraph piece I'll include in here as well, because all of these are leading into a particular direction, which is for Harry and Meghan is sans Harry, focused on Meghan, and definitely abusing the royal titles as much as humanly possible. That is what the future looks like for Harry and Meghan, the cosplay royals. And so here we go. We'll start with the Daily Mail one because this was published a bit earlier. So the title is Netflix planning to pull the plug on Harry and Meghan? And if it does, how will they fund their lifestyle? And again, huge questions. So it begins, perhaps surprisingly, the specter of relative penury and wrangles over money loom rather large over the couple and the relationship with Netflix, and casts a fascinating light on the question of what they are going to do next. I'm told by well-placed sources with knowledge of the deal that the association has been disappointing all around, with Harry and Meghan drawing a relatively meager amount from the streamer, thought to amount to as little as 20 million or 16 million pounds for them personally, all in. Considering the delivery of blockbuster tell-all 6-part documentary Harry and Meghan in December 2022, which was seen by 81 million households in the first 3 weeks, the couple could judge that 20 million isn't much at all. Maybe we should look no further when seeking to explain the perplexing omission on the website. This is interesting because I didn't even think about that. But yes, I think the Netflix deal has been disappointing for Harry and Meghan because Netflix is checking them. They're looking at what Harry and Meghan are proposing and going, no, that sounds bad. Nobody's going to watch that. You need to bring something better. You need to have more ideas. You need to have more of a concrete plan than this weird generalization that they seem to have. And again, to me, this is not surprising for Harry and Meghan in the slightest. They have always had issues with bringing things to fruition and having strong ideas, because Meghan is not a creative thinker and neither is Harry. They're not really creatives. Now, there's something wrong with that. A lot of people aren't. But in the industry they're in, they need to be creatives. And Meghan doesn't have any experience behind the scenes, and Harry beyond doesn't have any experience behind the scenes. So they are both floundering. And again, they only have themselves to blame here. This is not rocket science. Yes, obviously it requires some planning, some good staff and stuff, but Harry and Meghan being this bad 4 years in is a sign of trouble brewing behind the scenes. But Netflix is also frustrated because it's like, this contract could be huge, but you're giving us these sort of dumb, ridiculous documentaries that nobody really cares about. You can't really bring anybody to fruition, and we'll get to this, but they constantly lose staff members. And so Netflix is like, your deal was potentially worth 100 million reportedly, and there's huge money on the line here, and you guys just can't meet the standards. That's why they lost the Spotify deal too. They could not meet the general standards put forth in the contract, and that is what's sinking them. Their own incompetence is what's sinking them. I know I say that a lot, but I think it's important to drive home that they are incompetent in this. And yes, you could argue that my stuff depends on Harry and Meghan being incompetent, but so does so much of the people who commentate on Hollywood. They sort of relish in when Hollywood messes up because then they have more content. So similar for me, but I would consider myself a creative because I created this channel, I created Royal Fashion News, I think through things. And you'll notice too that this is sort of bare. There's usually a bunch of books here. But right now I'm actually swapping rooms. So I have a room that was going to be for fashion, and I just, for a lot of reasons, that hasn't happened. And then this was just basically the office area, but I'm switching them for a couple of different reasons. And one of them is because I have a new program I'm working on, hopefully launching in March. And so it's something that I've worked on and just, I don't think is out there in any other way or form. So I will have something I hope which is pretty unique to people. And that requires creativity, insight. I have so many ideas, you guys. I could have 12 different channels on different topics and have a blast doing that. I hate editing, so I don't, but you get the idea. Harry and Meghan, though, they're not those people. Their ideas are bad. Their ideas aren't thought through. Their ideas are too self-serving. So I felt like there was stuff that could be on a royal channel that I wasn't seeing. So I wanted to create something that fit that void. And yes, it fulfills something I want, but I also thought, hey, maybe other people want it too, because you have to think about yourself. So as a presenter, I have to think of my own personal integrity. That's why I'm thinking about doing the video on William, because I know not everybody will agree with it. But at the same time, I feel like I'm not exhibiting integrity if I don't cover it, because I cover a lot of Harry and Meghan stuff. I should cover Wales' stuff as well. Although I would have preferred to cover it on my new program, but that ain't gonna happen right now. So anyways, but again, these are important distinctions to make. Harry and Meghan only think about themselves. Their reality TV show was so self-serving, so just an ego drive. It was so driven by their ego. And because of that, it wasn't very good. Like aesthetically, it looked nice, but really at the end of the day, it wasn't that good because it was too into them. And so all their projects are too self-serving. And I think as Hollywood contracts, which it'll talk about in the next bit, they're looking at Harry and Meghan going, okay, how are you going to appeal to the masses? Because right now that little thing only applies to like 1% of the population. You need to apply to 95% of the population. How do you do that? And Harry and Meghan don't have a good answer because again, they cannot think beyond themselves. The head of content, Bella Bajaria, tried to put a brave face on the inactivity at an event last week. She said the couple had a number of projects in very early development and were being helped by Netflix's head of unscripted content, Brandon Reig, which is not good. If you have to have somebody come alongside you and help you because you're so incompetent, like if the big head boss, you're working for a while and they're like, yeah, let's get somebody else who's more experienced to come and help you with your job that you've been doing for a while, that means you're bad at it and they want that other person to help you. So that's not a great sign for Harry and Meghan. They actually have like a bunch in development, she said. They have a movie in development, a series that they are working on. So all in early development with a movie, a TV series, and a couple of unscripted shows that they are working on with Brad and Reig. But yeah, the movie is great. Some might argue that's faint praise, and it is. It's not great praise. It's not great praise. They don't have anything to show, just very early development. They should have things like halfway through development at this point, because their last project ended in August. What have they been doing for the last 6 months? No idea. However, a source with knowledge of the situation says that essentially the Netflix deal is a dead duck. The whole arrangement was basically the trade-off for Netflix getting the Harry and Meghan documentary. It was never a huge payday that the press reported. The 100 million number was always a newspaper figure. It's thought that they got a small fraction of that number up front, and everything from there on is largely contingent on performance. The fact is that the company Archewell has been relatively inactive so far. And this in Hollywood is the kiss of death. You could be a difficult person to work with. You can be a challenging individual at times. You can maybe make mistakes. But you can't not work. You can't be incompetent because even Hollywood is like, hey, we need somebody to work. If you can't work, if you can't get any projects on the ground, we aren't paying you diddly squat. You need to work on stuff. And so if they've been that inactive, again, huge red flag for the rest of Hollywood. And so how are they going to get any more deals if nobody trusts them to actually get projects off the ground? Well, the answer is they can't. Now, and I missed this section. What's more, the expectation in Hollywood is that both parties will break the deal as soon as it is contractually viable, which will mean a divorce in September this year or next. Will the Sussexes have by then produced their rom-com film based on the Carly Fortune book, Meet Me at the Lake? And will they have produced any of the documentary projects, including a Prince Harry in Africa series, which has also been long in the planning? Other proposals they are trying to get off the ground include a feminist retelling of the origins of Charles Dickens' Miss Havisham in form of a TV drama. So the answer to that is no, they're not really probably going to get really much further than where they are right now. They just don't really have anything to offer. And a feminist retelling of Miss Havisham is just a dead duck, especially after the bomb of the Marvels and now Madam Web. Although Hollywood is very, very slow to course correct, it's clear that sometimes overly feminist retellings of things and things where you're switching out, the genders and all these sorts of things doesn't always work. And in fact, audiences reject it. Like just on the basis of that, a feminist retelling of Charles Dickens' story focusing on Miss Havisham, I already don't want to watch it. It sounds like a rather boring project that probably really won't go anywhere. And Hollywood, again, is finding this stuff out. So why would they fund this from Harry and Meghan? The two people who are already relatively incompetent as just documentaries. They're pretty incompetent at that. And this goes into their financial detail. It says, rather than a massive lump sum, the deal consisted of a multi-year commitment from Netflix to cover the overheads of Archewell. This is said to be in the region of $3 million a year, of which the Sussexes will keep a small portion personally. Most of that money is being spent on overheads and project development costs. Indeed, when Archewell bought the rights to make a film of Meet Me at the Lake, it was reported that quite unusually, Netflix had stumped up the $1 million cash rather than Archewell, reflecting the fact that the company is not swimming in funds. By far their most lucrative element was the production fee for the Harry and Meghan documentary of around $20 million, $15 million of which will have gone directly to the couple, the rest being spent making this series. So again, Harry and Meghan maybe at the most got $20 million out of Netflix. Now that's a lot of money, but their house cost $15 million. They probably need to be making $100 million, which is probably how they got the house in the first place, is saying, well, we have all these deals lined up. We're going to make $125, $200 million. But now they're sitting with a $15 million house, and the most they got out of Netflix is maybe 15 to 20 million. And then if you add on Spotify, which I would think at the most they only got a couple million for, because part of that would have been production, part of that would have been building a podcast studio in their home, and part of that would have been the reaction to their podcast. I mean, I doubt they got even a small fraction of what they were promised from Spotify. And again, they've lost that deal. They've lost a lot already. So where are they going to go now? They can't go anywhere good, really. The changing cast of characters at Archewell has not helped relations with Netflix. The source adds, there's been a lot of turbulence at executive level within Archewell, and I know for a fact that Netflix are annoyed to be advancing several $1 million a year of overhead to a company that can't seem to retain more than a handful of staff at a time, and that has almost no day-to-day visibility around town. That wasn't what Netflix were pitched, and the shaky executive base is a big part of the reason why Archewell hasn't got much done. Yes, yes, yes. So between the two of them, I'm sure they are a bear to work for. And if neither one of them have very good ideas in terms of scripts or stories or those sorts of things, the people who are actually very competent in their fields can't stand that, because there's nothing more aggravating than knowing that you could say this, that you're smarter than your boss, and your boss is directing everything and won't allow any sort of collaboration with you. I imagine that's what the people at Archewell are dealing with. And I think the people at Archewell who stick around, I just don't know. Like James Holt, why does he stick around? I just don't know. Like, what is the benefit to you? Because they just don't seem like A, great bosses, and B, they don't have that much to offer. So like, why? Anyways, so that is again another thing, an interesting thing to consider here. Bad luck has come into play too. Netflix has pulled back on its film and TV expenditure massively over the past 12 months after it became clear that previous spending levels were not sustainable. Hollywood is generally a much more financially sober environment too. In addition to the actors and writers strikes and the pandemic, peak TV is over, with fewer shows being made and at a lower price point. The source says there is an across-the-board acknowledgement that Netflix will want to get out of or scale down further the deal at the earliest contractual opportunity. You might see that Netflix haven't done too badly out of the relationship, as they've probably only gone out of pocket to the tune of around $30 million. So that includes the money Harry and Meghan got and production costs that they get per year. And they did at least get a huge stock hit out of the investment. As for Harry and Meghan, it's understood that they will have managed to keep around $15 million just for themselves, which is not bad business, but the kind of money doesn't last long with their lifestyle, and that is key. Hollywood is contracting, and Harry and Meghan spend like they're billionaires on a millionaire's salary. So they're going to go through money very, very quickly. They're already going through a lot of money. They already borrow other people's private jets because they can't afford their own. So I don't think that problem is going to get any better. And in fact, I think it's going to get worse and worse over time, because they have huge bills and yet they will continue to pull in less and less money. This Lemonada deal Meghan got, yes, sure, it gets her podcast out there more, but isn't going to be the tune of, potentially 20 million. I don't think so. I listened to Archetypes. It was boring, it was dull, it was contrived, it was overly produced, like so many things. It was awful to listen to. So I don't think that's going to get any better. The lifestyle is indeed idyllic by any standards and included the purchase of their Montecito mansion in 2020 for $14.7 million, with a mortgage of $9.5 million. The potential mortgage payments on such borrowing may run to $50,000 a month. Then there is their security detail, generally thought to cost somewhere north of $2 million a year, plus taxes of $68,000 a year, staff costs up to $300,000 a year, and utilities costing up to $24,000 a year. That doesn't include also maintenance on their home, which is also going to be a lot. Houses that big, the maintenance costs would shock you. My parents ended up getting actually a quite large house at one point, and the amount of maintenance they had to put into that house was very insane, especially because they had these piping issues. So they had to replace all the hot water pipes in their house because they kept breaking. And so again, huge costs, more than you might think, just to do simple things like replacing filters, lights, those sorts of things. And then in addition, other maintenance costs, because this was also not a new house. So they'll also have a lot of maintenance issues as well. Lawn maintenance, pool maintenance, like so many hidden costs that you wouldn't expect. Like I'm sure a household alone, just Maintenance of the house and mortgage runs upwards of probably $100,000. I would not be surprised if that's the case. And I will also say, when it comes to security, what I noticed, and I thought it was so hysterical, is that Meghan had to have a security guy. Like, she sits in the back of the SUV and the security guy drives them everywhere. We've seen this before as well when Meghan went to like the gym or something. She's literally in sweats and a security guy goes and opens the door for her and drives her around in her Range Rover. If you watch Hollywood people, rarely do they have somebody else driving them around unless they're going to an event, unless there's, maybe they have to get up somewhere early, or there's just a particular situation where like, hey, I really don't want to drive today. Guess what? They all drive themselves. They're perfectly capable of driving themselves around, yet Harry and Meghan can't seem to do it. Yes, we've gotten pictures of them driving their car as well, but there was no reason Meghan needed a security guy to drive her around after lunch. No reason. Absolutely no stinking reason. And what's interesting is Kim Kardashian, there's recent photos of her. She was driving around in her $100,000 Cybertruck from Tesla, and she's probably walking around with a $50,000 Birkin, because I think it looked probably exotic. It was black, it was leather, it looked like, alligator skin or something. So I'm sure that Birkin that she's holding cost $50,000. Yet she can go into Starbucks herself and pick up her own stinking drink. Yet Meghan Markle can't go to lunch without a full security detail. Why? Because Kim Kardashian is worth upwards of $1 billion. Harry and Meghan are worth maybe a couple million. Now, you add in their home and that's 15, but they're not these big security risks that they think. Yes, there were perhaps more when they were royals. Again, this is just hypothetical. At this point, if you're a person and you want to target somebody within the royal family, why would you target the people that they don't seem to like? Because they might just go, yeah, well, Harry and Meghan wanted out, so that's their problem. Like, it doesn't benefit you. Like, why would it benefit you? And so this idea that they need this massive security apparatus when most people in Hollywood who are worth millions, if not billions more than they do not need it in the same way. Harry and Meghan just look delusional. They look utterly delusional and out of touch. Meghan Markle thinks she is so stinking important that she needs full-time security guys to drive her around. And yet Kim Kardashian can drive her own stinking car. Like, a lot of celebrities drive around their Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, like Land Rovers, all these sorts of cars, Bentleys, like they drive them just fine. And yet Meghan Markle's Rolls Royces, but Meghan Markle can't drive her own stinking car that she needs a driver to do it for her. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. But again, it's her delusions of grandeur falling into that and Harry indulging it. Again, they think they are the most important royals in the world. And yes, you're talked about a lot, but so is Kim Kardashian, and she doesn't need these burly guys following her around all the time. Does she have security? Of course she does. But again, sometimes too, you just need to live your life in certain instances. And a good portion of the time, especially where they're going, there's probably no issue. She just, again, looks silly having a security person drive her around all the time. It also says Harry's legacy from Princess Diana is generally said to be around £7 million all in, plus a further amount from a legacy left by the Queen Mother that won't go far in California. So you can see how the money would become a pressing concern. Among the biggest money spinners of all has actually been Harry's memoir Spare, released in January last year, sold around 4 million copies. If we are to assume a relatively modest cut for Harry of 15%, that would have netted him 15 million, give or take. He has given an unknown portion of the profits to charity. You can question how much of that is true or not. Meanwhile, it's unclear how much money the Sussexes made from podcaster Spotify, for which Archewell managed to make just one 12-episode podcast, Archetypes, in 3 years. Their deal was canceled in 2023. It's said to be worth about $20 million, but again, will have likely only netted them a fraction of that amount, given the lack of content created. The Wall Street Journal reported with restraint that they failed to reach the productivity benchmark. So again, Harry and Meghan, productivity, competency, all problems that continue to grow for them. These problems aren't going away and they aren't getting any better. But looking beyond the end of the Netflix deal, a world in which Meghan has a podcast does not look like a world in which a couple can maintain a house with 16 bathrooms. Logic which suggests that they brave the backlash and write more books, as the story of their fallout with the royal family remains compelling. Even a cookbook, which I heard it was Meghan's preference, would be a great potential source of income. So again, that is sort of interesting, and there's further information about that in the New York Post, page 6. It says, last summer was announced that Meghan had signed with Emmanuel, the powerhouse agent with WME. However, although she turned up at some events with prominent WME clients, such as Kevin Costner's charity party, there have been no blue chip commercial deals for her. She was also said to be about to revive her website, The Tig, and sign an endorsement deal with the fashion house Dior. Neither has yet happened. Some believe that WME are letting her go, again because of the problem of how to turn her megawatt profile into some kind of tangible product. They are said to have played no part in Sussex.com rebrand, which does not augur well. Inquiries about her status there go unanswered. And again, that's not a good sign either, because WME needed to be a part of the Sussex rebrand. If this is all Harry and Meghan driven, again, this all comes back to the problem of Meghan's control issues. Meghan Markle wants and needs to be in control, and yet there are things outside of her control that need to be there. She needs to have checks and balances, but she doesn't want any of that. And because of that, they constantly run into themselves, and again, disaster happens because she can't seem to get out of her own way. And this is a constant issue. And really, the website is there just to promote Meghan. It's not really there to promote Harry. It's just there to support Meghan. Again, I did a whole video on this. It is all about Meghan. It's always other people's money, a source told the publication, but how do they keep it coming? Yes, oh yes, how do they keep the money coming? Huge question, because they need massive amounts of money. They always want to take private jets. They always want people to splash out things for them. But at some point, people are going to get annoyed when they've asked to borrow your private jet for the 12th time. And you're going to be like, hey, you know, other people in this industry, they can afford their own private jets, you know, jet flights, like they pay for them or whatever. Why in the world do we need to keep funding this for you when other celebrities seem to do it just fine? Harry and Meghan, again, if you bite the hand that feeds you too much, if you're too greedy, at some point that will blow up in your face. And I think Harry and Meghan are already beginning to experience that, especially because what does it benefit Hollywood people to get into a relationship with them? At this point, they're about to lose their Netflix deal. They lost their Spotify deal. They had this little deal with Lemonada, but I mean, what else do they have besides their royal titles? They don't really have anything. So why would you even invest in the brand as a Hollywood person? You're like, hey, I'm not going to make any money from them. They're not going to make any money from me. So like, why? And so the next article I want to talk about is this one from the New York Post, which is entitled, Meghan Markle thinks she can be the new Martha Stewart or Joanna Gaines on Netflix. And Meghan Markle, I will tell you right now, you are not Joanna Gaines. You are not Martha Stewart. You are not Gwyneth Paltrow. Meghan Markle has a huge character flaw, and that is she cannot be authentic. And I think part of it is because she worries that as she would reveal how much she craves money, fame, and fortune, that people would get turned off by that. But hey, the Kardashians have bankrolled that. So you need to maybe perhaps indulge that more, because that might be actually authentic. Or the fact that you really always hated your in-laws, you hated England, you only married Harry for his title. Like, if she was at least somewhat honest about some things, I actually think her brand would do better. But it's because she is so controlling, and it's because she can't let people see behind the curtain, that she just seems to walk into disaster all the time, because she has this authentic chip missing. She cannot be authentic. She's always acting. I think anytime you meet Meghan Markle, and especially if you are somebody who at the moment she's trying to get close with, she will put on some sort of act for you. She will be very nice, very friendly, but there's something will be off about it. She never really gets to know you because she doesn't really care. She's just acting like she cares because it fits her particular agenda at that particular point. Now, if she doesn't like you, she'll show you some of her true face, and that's not too pleasant. But yes, let's get into this one. Begins, Meghan Markle will use the final year of her current Netflix contract to take on America's most famous lifestyle queens, like Inna Garten, Martha Stewart, or Joanna Gaines, sources say. The contract Markle and Prince Harry signed with the streamer back in 2020 runs until the end of 2025, but multiple insiders told Page 6 they don't expect either side will want to renew the deal. For Harry and Meghan's part, again, I think it's frustration that Netflix didn't greenlight everything, and hopefully they're going to get a fool who will do that for them. But also, again, the deal is dead. Everybody got what the one thing they sort of wanted from it. And Harry and Meghan, I'm sure, are the type of people think, well, somebody else is going to pick us up. Well, if Meghan Markle can't do this thing she's looking to do, that's a huge, big old fat no. So it says, Sources say Harry and Meghan's Netflix deal won't be renewed when the contract ends next year, and that Meghan is trying to position herself as a lifestyle entrepreneur a la Joanna Gaines or Gwyneth Paltrow. As we revealed, the couple is working on various projects with Netflix, including a film adaptation of Carly Fortune's hit book, Meet Me at the Lake. And Harry has been said to be in talks about traveling to Africa for a documentary. Okay, number one, I don't think anybody wants Prince Harry's Africa documentary, especially after the African Parks fiasco and scandal that continues to go on that Harry really hasn't responded to. I don't think anybody wants that. Like, who does? And then at the same time too, lifestyle brand. But what is Meghan Markle's lifestyle? I don't even know if we've ever seen the true Meghan Markle, because Meghan Markle is a veneer. So like, how are you supposed to grasp onto a lifestyle? And also as well, you have to have a modicum of talent to really have a lifestyle brand, which Meghan doesn't have. Says Hollywood insiders now expect Markle to work on a Netflix project close to her heart. Something in the realm as her former lifestyle blog, The Tig, which was not that good. It wasn't good. It was basically copying other people. There was just nothing interesting about it. It was really not that good. From what I understand, I think Meghan will take on Martha Stewart, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Ina Garten to play them at their own game, said one industry insider. The problem is, Meghan Markle don't have no game. If she don't have no game, she can't do it. I don't think she can do it. She's getting advice from powerful friends like Claire Wright Keller, the former Givenchy designer who created her wedding dress and with whom she had lunched Thursday at Beverly Hill Power Spot Saucony, and who just signed a big deal with Uniqlo and Victoria Jackson, a QVC star and makeup entrepreneur. Okay, page 6, New York Post. That was very kind of you to say about Claire Wright Keller. But to go from Givenchy to QVC is a step down. Her association with Meghan Markle has not helped her. She is taking a huge step down. That is what that is. I mean, no offense to her or anything, but yeah, it's clear that things didn't go super well with her association with Meghan. And again, although it was played off as a mutual parting of ways, it just didn't really seem like it was with Givenchy. Like, she left in April 2020. Harry and Meghan announced an exit in 2020, in January. So I imagine Givenchy, the heads of it, are looking at that going, yeah, Claire's okay. Like, her kind of big thing is being close with Meghan, but now Meghan's gone. So do we really want her to stay? No, because that was like her one big thing. So again, I think that's, I mean, it's very kind of them to say, but when it comes to like fashion tiers going from a haute couture house that is massive and influential to QVC, I mean, let's be honest here, that is a step down. They don't sell Chanel bags on QVC. They do not. Just this month, Meghan was seen cooking traditional Afghan food when she visited the Southern California Welcome Project for an evening of cooking and storytelling. In 2018, while still a working member of the royal family, she launched a cookbook to raise funds for the victims of the tragic Grenfell blaze in London. We're told that the publishers of the Together Grenfell book had also pitched a cooking series along the lines of The Power of Food to Bring Communities Together with Markle. Now again, I know people cite the cookbook as this great success, but was it really a success because of Meghan? Yes, Meghan put her name on it and that I'm sure helped the profile. But did people also want to support the people who were impacted by the fire and the tragedy that happened at the Grenfell Towers? Well, I would lean more over there than I would Meghan Markle. So yes, this was a success, but was it a success because of Meghan or the tragedy it was associated with? And the money that was generated by the book was going to go help the victims. Again, huge differences there. And again, Meghan attaches herself to these things, and I think cites them as a success for her rather than always seeing the bigger picture. And I'm sure some people indulge that as well. Goes on to say, this would not surprise me, a Hollywood source said, of Meghan wanting her own lifestyle empire. But the source added, she would have to be relatable and natural, the way Drew Barrymore is. It can't feel contrived or like she's acting, which Meghan is always contrived in acting. She always is. So that's going to be a huge, massive glaring issue for Meghan. An expert said, while Markle might want to turn herself into a lifestyle guru in the vein of Stewart or Joanna Gaines, who heads a $15 million Magnolia brand with her husband Chip, that would inevitably require letting viewers into her personal life. The reason Martha, Joanna, and Gwyneth have crushed it is because they've let viewers into their most private spaces and shared their biggest secrets, said Rachel Richardson, a former Snapchat exec and writer of Highly Flammable Trends newsletter. And that's entirely true because allegedly we know what Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina smells like. Can you see Meghan Markle doing that? Probably no. Probably no. Authenticity is key in the lifestyle area, and those that succeed tend to be willing to share their whole lives. Think about it. What do we not know about Gwyneth Paltrow? Added Richardson. In Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary and the Oprah interview, Meghan let cameras capture some aspects of her personal life, but to pull off a successful lifestyle show, she will have to be prepared to swing the door all the way open. Richardson also questioned whether Markle could use her royal coat of arms, which is now prominent on the Sussex.com website for branding, but any exploitation of her title, coat of arms, etc. will cause friction with the palace. It's very much frowned upon to exploit royal status for commercial gain. And that is huge. And the Telegraph also said that Harry and Meghan at no point plan on not using Meghan Markle's coat of arms. They will not be dissuaded from using that. So 100% they are going to try to copy the royal warrants that are given out in the United Kingdom. So we have Her Majesty the Queen, so that was Queen Elizabeth. We have Prince Philip, of course, and we also have Prince Charles. And we haven't really seen Catherine and William dip their toes into this yet, but Meghan Markle could 100% use that coat of arms as branding. Should she? Of course she shouldn't. But Meghan Markle, again, she's starting to get desperate here. She needs a hit. Not only just a hit, she needs success. So the title is the one thing she has. So she will do whatever she has. And oh, look, I have this coat of arms. It looks really cool. Wouldn't that be great for branding? Because, you know, Archewell sucked, which it did. And so she's like thinking through all this, not giving any consideration to Harry, his family, like the meaning behind why they were given that. They were given that because they were going to be working royals of the family. Not so Meghan could exploit it for commercialization and deals and branding and all these sorts of things. It was meant to be for their use as official working members of the royal family. But of course, Meghan Markle is now going to abuse and use that privilege. As for the Sussex Netflix deal coming to a close, one company insider said, look, both Meghan and Harry and Netflix got exactly what they wanted. It was a good deal for both of them if you look at the success of the Harry and Meghan documentary. But where else does it go? Harry and Meghan was seen by 81 million households in its first weeks in December 2022. It was then announced as the streamer's second highest ranked documentary ever. Now, given their status and profile, surprised it's not number one. I wonder if Tinder Swindler is still number one, which is fascinating that they couldn't outrank the Tinder Swindler. That'd be interesting. But anyways, again, yes, everybody got out of it sort of what they wanted, but do Harry and Meghan not want more? I would assume so. And if they don't want more, if they're not willing to fight for it, then how much did they want it to begin with? Again, that was the same thing with the Spotify deal. If you didn't fight for podcasting, I mean, they technically did, but Meghan Markle didn't do any work until she got somebody else to finance it for her again. Becoming a lifestyle guru offers endless opportunities to make serious money via brand deals, said Richardson. It's not difficult to imagine the clamor for the Duchess of Sussex branded cookware, furniture, loungewear, yoga mats, etc. Having a royal seal of approval certainly raises the stakes in terms of what she could charge for partnerships and how consumers would view the products. But again, I think that's tiptoeing into really, really dangerous territory. But Meghan Markle doesn't care. Meghan Markle is getting desperate. She needs success. She desperately needs and wants success. And she will do anything to achieve that and include abusing the titles and all the privileges that the royal family gave her because she does not care unless it serves Meghan Markle. She doesn't care. And everything else at this point has been pretty much a failure. So she's going back to what she thought made them successful to begin with, which was royalty. And the Telegraph also did an interesting piece talking about at the end how Harry and Meghan are royals and celebrities and tend to try to bridge both worlds in a way that just doesn't work. But at the end of the day, the Telegraph kind of said Harry and Meghan are finding out that, yeah, royalty is better than celebrity. And Meghan Markle had royalty, but she gave it away. She encouraged Harry to give it away because she wanted to be the celebrity she always wanted. She wanted to make as much money as she thought she needed to. And so she convinced Harry to give up everything about his life so they could have this venture in Hollywood. But it hasn't gone well. So she's going back to what she thought made them successful. But again, how much success will she have? Who wants to buy Duchess of Sussex cookware and all this sorts of stuff? Because The big problem Meghan has is nobody likes her. Her likability is pretty small. And so if she can change that and be more authentic, maybe she might get some more people on her side. But her unlikability is very, very high. So brands are looking at her and Harry going, do we want to go into this or not? Because will it benefit us or will it not benefit us? Because there's a lot of backlash with anybody associating with Harry and Meghan. There is always a lot of backlash. If you see any posts on Invictus, Lemonada, anything about Harry and Meghan, it broadly tends to go negative. And that's because Harry and Meghan are a toxic brand. And Meghan Markle does herself no favors by parading around for paparazzi strolls and grinning ear to ear, so excited, like the camera's here, yeah, it's me, that's hi guys. And so go ahead and take a listen to a little bit of what she said to the photographer is getting into the car here.
Hello, Meghan.
How was the lunch, Meghan?
Oh, it's so good.
You're looking amazing, Meghan. Bye.
That'll work. Meghan Markle.
And I love this at the end. Who is that? Meghan Markle. Meghan's not as popular as she believes. She's not as influential as she would like to believe either. Meghan Markle has a limited shelf life. She just refuses to acknowledge that, and she refuses to do the things to rehab her brand. Shoving herself in our faces more and more is not going to help her brand. What she needs to do is take a couple steps back, come back with an authentic vision, authentic plan, one that does not trade off her royal titles. Meghan Markle needs to prove she can stand on her own without relying on her husband and his family. But Meghan Markle, she just can't seem to do it. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.